Hello, hello, hello. So, I never know what I'm gonna post on this video channel when I get up in the morning. You know, it's always just like, God, I don't know why I'm so emotional about this. It's so silly. I just felt compelled to like pull over and start talking about this. I'm on my way to go do a review for my review channel with puffy eyes. I've been so emotional lately. Like, good emotional, you know? Like, really feeling my feelings and really being grateful for the people that I have in my life. And the people that I've had in my life. The experiences that I've had and stuff, but... So, I was driving and I just had my iTunes on. This is so stupid. I mean, it's not. It's not stupid. But I was driving and I had my iTunes on. This song came on that I love. And the song is called If the World Was Ending. And it's with JP Saxe and Julia Michaels. I'll link it below if you've never heard it before. But like, I listened to it like 2 times back to back. I just was like sobbing. And the song goes in and it says, you know, like, if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? And it's just kind of this song about, this is like Peter. Full-blown emotions, like this is how all day, up and down, happy, joyous, laughing, and then 1 second I'm like this, you know. But I'm happy that I'm like this now because, you know, back in the day, like after my mom passed away, I was like numb. I was like numb for a long time, and I just never felt my emotions. And I just pushed them down, and I just pushed them down, and it was so unhealthy. And I can remember coming back into the rooms of recovery, you know, and I just sat there numb for the longest time. And then, I've told this story like tons of times, but on my vlog and on my Peterisms channel, but there was this woman that every day I would see her, and she would say to me, you know, like, how are you doing today? This is the woman that always says to me, like, if nobody else told you this today, I love you. She always says that to me when I see her. And she's the one I got that from, that I say on my vlog. And so every day I would see her, you know, and she would say, how are you doing? Because I went to, like, every day I was going to the 12 and the 8 meeting. I was going to 2 meetings a day. This is just like 8 years ago, you guys. Because there were 4 years that I didn't go to meetings. And then when I came back in, I came in like a newcomer. And I was like, I wanted this so bad. I wanted the emotional sobriety. It wasn't about the drink anymore to me. It was about the emotional sobriety that like I so longed for and I hadn't had, you know. And so every day she would ask me, she'd say, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. And in sobriety, there's kind of a joke that FINE stands for effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. I guess that's what I was. But anyway, I had all these feelings about my mom, and, you know, I'd gotten out of this long-term relationship, and I had, like, left a long-term career, and I, you know, had moved out, like, of my apartment that I had been in for a really long time. And it was just like a really, like, everything that I knew in my life that year, like, shifted. Like, everything that I knew was no longer, you know? And I'm such a person, well, I was more in the back in the day than I am now, but I was such a creature of comfort, you know? And, I was, like, dying inside. I was sober, but I was like dying inside. And so I heard this speaker lead, which is like when somebody tells their story. I listen to them a lot when I drive around, and I like, you know, just put them on and I listen to them in the background while I'm driving. It's like if you go to a meeting and somebody shares their story. And I heard this woman share her story about how every day she would go to a meeting and this friend of hers would ask her, you know, like, how are you doing? And she would say, I'm not doing very good. And, or no, every day she would say, I'm doing okay, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then one day, like, she just looked at her friend and she said, I'm not doing very good. And that, like, inspired this thing in me, like, I was like, the next time I see my friend, if she asks, I'm gonna tell her the truth, you know? And so, I saw my friend, I think it was like the next day or the day after, I don't know, and she said to me, how are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing very good. And she took me outside where there's like this gazebo, and we sat there and we talked, you know, and she didn't solve all my problems, but she made me feel human, and she made me feel alive again, and that feelings aren't facts, and that feelings can change, and that just because I feel a certain way about something doesn't mean that it's not going to change a week or a month from now, and that I don't have to act on feelings, but I also have a right to my feelings about things, you know. And I didn't really know all of that. Like, it wasn't like I took a, you know, emotions 101 class. They seem like pretty commonsensical things, you know, until you realize you're not practicing them. So anyway, you know, as a result of that, and through the years of doing some work with my sponsors, and, you know, just all kinds of stuff, you know, therapy, I've like really gotten to the point where I just allow myself to express myself emotionally. You know, if I'm feeling something, I just feel it, you know? And so I'm driving down the road and I'm listening to the song, and you know, I've listened to this song before, and like every time I listen to it, it always makes me start crying, because I always think about, like, you know, we're kind of obsessed with this. I was actually going to do a video the other day talking about like why we're obsessed with like zombie apocalypse shows, and because I'm watching that show, The Last Man, which isn't a zombie apocalypse show, but it is an apocalypse show kind of. And you know, we're all kind of like obsessed with these like apocalypse shows and end of the world shows and whatever, but like if it really was the end of the world, I don't think that we would be very happy about it. And I, for one, know that I wouldn't survive very long, probably 2 or 3 days. But anyway, so I was thinking about that, you know, like, and so when this song came on today, I was like really, what if the world was ending? And the reality is that for a lot of people today, the world is ending, you know? It is. A lot of people won't make it till tomorrow. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about like all, you know, like on the day that the world is ending, like who would you want to surround yourself with? I was asking myself that, you know, like who would I want to surround myself with on the day that the world was ending? And not only that, but like, what have I left unsaid? Like, what are the things that I haven't said to somebody that I should be saying to somebody? You know? Oh God, of course, Tanya, my best friend, is calling me at the moment, and I'm having this emotional breakdown in a car over a song. And she always knows right when to like reach out to me. She always does. It's like weird. And she's the one that taught me really, you know, that like, well, other than that woman, but Tanya always says that, you know, like, you have a right to your feelings. Nobody's telling me that I don't have a right to my feelings. I don't know why I keep on saying that, you know, and it's like, it's so funny because my husband for so long was like not this emotional person. He like never cried over anything. And then, you know, we started going to counseling, and it like unleashed this floodgate of emotion out of him, which has like brought us so much closer together. But I remember the very first time, well, I had seen him cry like, you know, during a couple movies or whatever, but I remember the very first time that like we were in the middle of counseling, and it was like, well, not like at the session obviously, but it was like, you know, we had been going for a couple months, and it was when Vicky from Vicky Gunderson's mother passed away on the Real Housewives of Orange County, and Alex and I were sitting there watching it, and I was on the couch or the chair, I don't know, I looked over at him, and he just was like bawling inconsolably, you know, and I think that's the thing. It's, I think I've really allowed myself to be, I don't know, I've allowed the emotions to flow in me, and I'm so thankful for that. Which, this is nothing that I was gonna make. When I pulled over, that wasn't what I wanted to talk about in this video, which is always the case, right? But I don't even know what this channel has become. I think this channel has just become me. And shopping and doing fun stuff and just talking sometimes. And so anyway, I was thinking to myself, like, if the world was really ending, like, who would you reach out to? Like, what are the things that you haven't said? Who are the people that are on that list that are important for you to say, like, hey, like, no matter what happened between us, like, you were really important in my life. You know, friends and teachers and neighbors. Or do I just mindlessly walk through this day every day, you know, and I really do try to say to people, you know, you mean so much to me and stuff. But like I've talked about this before, it was like years before Tanya and I even said I love you to each other. Now we say it to each other every time we part, you know, but it was like, it was years before we said that to each other, because I think we're afraid to tell people like how we really feel. Like, I think we're really afraid to tell people how important they really are to us, you know? Which is probably why I prefer animals to humans, because it's easier, you know? You can say anything you want to say to a dog. And isn't it weird how pets always seem to know when you need them the most, too, you know? I think I have some unfinished business in my life with, you know, I feel very blessed that with my family members, they all know how I feel. I tell them on a regular basis, you know. One of the things is that with my mom, before she passed away, you know, there was a period where I knew things weren't good, and so we got to have the last talk, and my mother and I left nothing unsaid. And I feel, my cousin and I were just talking about this yesterday, you know, like, and she left nothing unsaid with her mom, and we had that opportunity, and that to me is a blessing. Like, every day when I, you know of people who have had family members or loved ones that have passed quickly, I always, like, that was a gift that I was given, you know, and I'm fully aware of that. And so as a result of that, you know, with my dad and my stepmom and my family members and Caroline, my cousin, and Alex, especially my husband, you know, I made sure that there's nothing left unsaid, you know. And my past relationships are like so civil, that like romantic relationships, that there's nothing left unsaid there either. And what's interesting is that like when I'm listening to this song, I think of like the most random people. Like I think of like the most random people, and like just some like Saturday that we were like just sitting around a bonfire or something, you know, and like how at a period in time they were like so important to me, and we've just like, not for any specific reason, but we've just like drifted apart, you know, like, and some of them live 2 blocks from me, some of them live 1,000 miles from me, but you know, like, it's been a long time since I've reached out to them and I've said like, hey, you know, like, I love you and I miss you, and you know, I just want you to always know that. It's crazy, the power of a song, isn't it? Anyway, I think it's a good question, you know, like, if it were our last day, like, who would we want around us? And because I don't think we think of that, you know? most of our lives, until it is that time. And what things do we need to be saying now that we're not saying, I guess? I guess it's the takeaway. I've psychoanalyzed the hell out of this song, haven't I? And you know the really sad thing is, I'm gonna turn off this camera and I'm gonna turn the song back on and I'm gonna stop all the way to my review. So I better get to it. I sometimes just like turning on the camera and talking over here. So thanks for listening. I love you.